I want to say that the legal system performs some important functions. I mean, I've worked in countries that don't have a functioning legal system, and I wouldn't want to live there long term. I mean, we do need some place to, when people are denying their guilt, to sort out who did it and to protect human rights and that kind of thing. The problem, there's three really big problems. One of them is that it really does almost nothing for victims. The crime is against the state. In Canada, it's against the Crown. As one victim I interviewed here in Canada said, it wasn't the blankety blank queen, it was me that was violated. You know? So victims are just pretty much left out and often re-traumatized. Our processes are adversarial. They just don't do very much for victims often. They're also obsessed with the offender. I mean, if you look at it, everything in the system tracks around the offender. So, and the question is, what does that offender deserve? But that really, you know, we do it in the name of holding offenders accountable, but what does accountability have to do with that? I mean, if you think about how offenders do what they do, they use all kinds of excuses and rationalizations to insulate themselves from the consequence of their behavior. So it doesn't do much for victims. It doesn't hold offenders accountable in any meaningful way. It leaves the community out of the process, and in the process often deepens the wounds in the community rather than helping to heal them. So, while I think there's some real strengths to the legal system, it's got some real downsides. I mean, there's a pretty widespread understanding that what we're doing is not working. Just judges, lawyers, I mean, I hear it from probation officers. I mean, not everybody understands that, but you can count on any community. There are people who know that. That's one thing. The other is, it's so simple, it makes so much sense. You know, when you think about it, the criminal justice approach is not a natural one. But the idea that you ought to make it right to people and that you have an obligation to people, that does resonate with most traditions, most cultures. So I think it's a combination of a resonance with something we already know and a desperation about the way things we're doing aren't working. You know, I've had a number of people over the years come up to me and say, you know, I had all these ideas, but I never put them together. What restorative justice has done is put together these ideas or these things I've learned as a kid or whatever. So I think it sort of reaches some inherent values and understandings that most of us have.